Language learning is hard. Just like me, I'm sure in all the sort of language resources, maybe books, audio courses, websites, whatever, you often see the words like fun, easy, quick, etc. And this is exactly what we'll be talking about today. So before you write a comment under this video, please make sure you listen to what I have to say, and then if you want, we can have a debate in the comment section. Or you can just write a hate comment and leave the video. The reason why I have an issue with people claiming that they will teach you a language quickly, easily, with a lot of fun or whatever, is that it actually sets very unrealistic expectations for the learners, because what essentially it says, especially for beginners, so people that are new to languages in general, is that it will make them feel like if they're not experiencing fun or if it's not easy for them, then they will just give up because they will maybe assume that it's their fault, they're just not good at languages. Even, I think people that claim that, that they will teach you a language easily are actually shooting themselves in the foot, because if someone tries their product and they don't have fun for, any reason, then it will maybe mean that the product is not good because it's not fun. Now, I'm not saying that if you want to give up learning a language that you shouldn't. I'm not judging. I'm no one to tell you that you should learn a language or not learn a language. You make your own decision. Neither am I saying that you can't have fun while learning a language. What I do mean though is that not experiencing, comfort, easiness or fun when you're learning a language is actually the most normal thing ever. And actually it should be your expectation to not always have fun while you're learning your language. But don't worry, that's actually great news. So the reason why learning a language is often unfun, if that's a word in English, is because when you're learning a new skill, so in that case language learning, but that can be applicable to any sort of skill, your brain is actually in an uncomfortable position. And your brain doesn't like that because it likes to be comfortable to do things that he knows or it knows already, such as, watching a movie on Netflix, it doesn't require any effort. Not being productive is quite effortless, but actually doing something new requires effort, and it's uncomfortable because when you are in that situation of learning something new, what your brain tells you often is, I don't want to do it, or oh, that's so boring, or something like, oh, it's too hard, I can't do it. So all these things when you do something new is exactly because of that reason. Your brain doesn't like it when you strain it, when you make it, go through some effort. And unfortunately, there isn't really any way around it. You just have to kind of accept it. So you can use all the marketing arguments that you can possibly think of, but your brain, while learning a language, will almost never experience fun. Now, it's not to say, careful, that language learning is not fun. What I would say though is that language learning is not fun, like the process of learning, but the language learned is the fun bit. So it's the result versus the means to the result, if that makes sense. So let's use an example to sort of illustrate it. For those of you that maybe go to the gym, practice an instrument, or do some sort of sport, I think you will agree that when you're doing your training, it's not like the most fun thing in the world, because it requires effort. When you're practicing the piano, you will repeat a piece many, many times until your fingers are tired, until your brain is tired, until your body is tired. So that's not to say that it's not enjoyable, because if you do your sport, you enjoy it, but a lot of it is not actually fun because what you're doing is pushing yourself. Maybe hurting yourself in some way. That's why often after a good workout you get sore muscles. But you know that when it hurts or when your brain is tired or something, then that's when you've put in the effort and that's when you've progressed, you've pushed yourself. And you need to create that situation of effort and tiredness in order to get results. And for me, language learning follows the exact same principle. So when people are led to believe that language learning needs to be fun in order for learning to happen, as if it was a prerequisite, then they're kind of missing out on that bit where you actually strain yourself, where you're not having fun, where you're pushing your limits. So therefore you sort of dodge the actual language learning process because you're just not stretching yourself enough. Again, and I'm doing a lot of disclaimers in this video because I want to be as clear as possible, it's not to say that when you're having fun doing something that you're not learning or retaining any information. Of course not. Like, you can learn things through fun, but I think it's when you're pushing yourself, putting yourself outside of your comfort zone, that proper progress and learning happens. And I can sort of predict people that will tell me, well, so if you're doing something and it's not fun, then why do it then? Why would I put myself in an uncomfortable position if I'm not having fun, if it's tedious, if it's difficult, etc., etc.? Well, the answer is that it might be that the process is tedious, boring, repetitive, whatever, but what is sweet is the result. So whenever your brain tells you it's boring, it's too difficult, I don't want to do it, I'd rather do something else, etc., just insert whatever thing your brain tells you, then remember, it's not something you should escape, it's actually something you should embrace, because when you experience these thoughts, it's just your brain telling you that it's uncomfortable, but when it's uncomfortable, that's usually when you're learning. And learning this has changed my life entirely. I can't even begin to explain that to you, but it's just eye-opening, because sometimes when our brain tells you things like it's too hard or too difficult, we're tempted to not do these things because we're like, oh, I don't want to do it, like, it's uncomfortable, it's difficult, like, why would I put in the effort? But actually, we can actually decide to go against these thoughts if we just kind of go for it. To sort of help you kind of get out of this thinking, you can even think, okay, so this thing I think is difficult, so what can I do to make it easier? Is it that I need to go on a forum to get explanations about a grammar point? Is it that I just need to practice or be more patient? Is it that you just need help from someone else? You can sort of find ways of contradicting these negative thoughts, if I may say, but at the end of the day, it is a good thing because if you don't push yourself and you're just expecting, the learning to be positive, most of the time it won't be. So will that mean that you will never do the learning because it's more often than not uncomfortable? Or will you decide instead to be like, okay, I feel a bit negative about this, but I can still do it. It's only my brain telling me things, but it doesn't mean that I can't kind of act against it. I hope that kind of makes sense what I'm trying to explain, and I hope that was also helpful. If you have anything that you want to sort of argue with this, that would be actually interesting to have your feedback or your comments. And I will see you next week. Bye!